let me reposition this a little bit. There we go. That looks all right, I think. There we go. That should be pretty good. There we go. I think that is going to be good. Got a little vertical and horizontal action. Wish there was a way to shrink this one independently, but there's not, so it is what it is. All right. Hey, Sean, how you been, man? Let's see. Cancel this. Boom. Switched over. All right. I was just switching over to the dual stream, so you can get vertical and horizontal. Before you had to have two different what's it called, stream keys, but this way you only need one, and it's kind of interesting because on one hand, it's like the stream key itself can do weird stuff, but then I guess before, when I was multi-streaming like that, I was streaming with a vertical and a horizontal, and that was not too bad, but what? Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Well, first things first, when you got people in your stream, you want them to hit the thumbs up. Because that just makes you feel good. It's an awesome way for them to do just a little bit to give you that confidence and hope that what you're doing is worth doing. But after that, yeah, you're going to have to list out some questions if there's something specific you want to know. Because there's a lot to know. And when you're working on, when you say you're working on a computer, does that mean that you're like building a computer or doing work on the computer? Like, oops, you're doing, what is it? The paperwork stuff. Obviously, you don't want to do that. Let's see, you know what I'm going to do actually here? We're going to completely change what this one's going to be. But yeah, Sean, what do you want to stream? You want to stream like pin making stuff? That's a That's a hot topic. All right, looks weird right now. We'll get it sorted. I just had to do a little quick mod. But there's a lot of good resources out there for streaming. And that's pretty much what I did. I just spent like a good long time trying to learn as much as I could. That way to get started and all that. I spent like a week trying to figure out what platform I was going to stream on. But, you know, YouTube is one of the best in my opinion. But so is TikTok, and then so is I mean, you can stream on Instagram too, I think. Not what I would do. But TikTok, Twitch, it's just, I think it's a little harder to get like natural, organic traffic. But I think YouTube kind of makes it nice to newer streamers. Also, in recent days, they've been talking about purging AI stuff. Not that that's relevant for me, but even channels that are making good money, like very profitable channels and stuff, they're getting rid of the AI slop. So I pretty much just watch things like that. And I typically don't watch other turning streams, really. It's a little weird, I guess. But yes, if you came from my previous stream from like, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, thank you. But yeah, ultimately, my goal with the live as well as doing the dual stream is, you know, to try and find more like-minded people, because that's what is important to me. I also enjoy interacting live better. Yeah. But yeah, Sean, it's been a while since you've been here. I mean, it's been a little while since I've streamed too, but yeah. Been working on a side project that is kind of like a back to the basics kind of thing. And I know that it seems funny because it seems like a lot of other like Turner creators are doing the same thing. So it's definitely not like my idea to do it. It just was one of those coincidences, I guess. Because I have another thing in mind that I would like to get ironed out and then available. Oh, by the way, I was turning some aluminum yesterday, and that stuff is awful. So aluminum will not be a part of my skill set. Getting rid of aluminum. Aluminum is not fun. It just gets like, well, if you haven't turned it before, it kind of gets a little gummy, which is weird. I've talked to Brian, who is a machinist, and he had mentioned that it gets gummy, but you know, I'm stubborn, so I got to find things out like that. Come on. You getting there yet? Drop it down again. Try to round this off a bit more. There we go. See, this is another thing that I wouldn't be able to do with that other tool very well, at least. This one, so the round bar stock that I was talking about, like you try to come in here and I try to get like right next to the bushing, but I have to use something that has more of a taper in order to get to it with the round. So if you can minimize how many, well, that's an efficiency sort of thing, right? Trying to maximize efficiency, but you can't really get in there with that because you're pushing up against the bushing. But with this, you can get right on it, which I prefer. So I'll probably take that to the grinder. But yeah, Sean, if you were working on more of a variety of projects and you're making videos on it, then you would probably pass me no time as far as like subscriber count and all that. But that's just not what I'm going to do. At least on YouTube, I'm not going to do it like that. I will do different projects, but you know, making YouTube videos religiously is not going to happen. At least I don't think so. Yeah, I hear you on that. We have a lot of stuff going on too. Abby just got back from a pin show in California. I've got some commissions that I've got to crank out. I've got the normal. This is what I call normal. This is the normal every day or every week turning that I do. And then I have other ideas that I want to try out and other little projects that I want to do here and there that don't necessarily lead to any income. So I don't stream for money. It'd be pretty cool if I did, like, was profitable, I guess, but man, shoot. I feel like we were talking about Tucson last time we were chatting, which was a while ago. But that has got delayed. Maybe even indefinitely, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what comes up in the next few, I guess 6 months or so. Because I applied to the fire department. Which, you know, is what I always wanted to do. Well, in high school, that's what I always wanted to do. And then I went to something completely, not completely different, but quite a bit different. I still went into rescue. You know the military stuff. You've been here for that bit. A little shiny spot right there. I'm going to reduce that. There you go. But yeah, I applied to the fire department. I'll hear back in a few months. The process is kind of weird, but you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it does, hey, that'd be cool too. Although, I mean, in my previous life, that's what I call my military career. I got in, you know, really good shape actually, but yeah, I didn't do too much, or I haven't really done too much since then, as far as like pushing limits of your. But you know, I got a decent figure. I got one of those figures that could be better, but it could also be worse. Um, but I did apply for the Charlotte Fire Department along quite a. Essentially off the couch, but um, I think I could do it again actually, but you know. I got my belly to kind of guide my tool with me, you know. So that's kind of. But to do a lot of things, and so that leaves me with some downtime that I don't maximize. So on one hand, it's like, well, just spend your time better. But on the other hand, it's like, well, you know what? You know, I think about it in a way that like retirement. If you retire, but you don't have really anything to do, and if you're somebody that has to do stuff, like I constantly feel of you know, trying to revisit the starting point of how I got into turning in the first place, and you know, the different stuff that you know you'd need to turn. Which is what I normally do. And that's just not the greatest way to do things, I reckon. So yeah, I like irregular schedules. Does it keep cutting out? Sometimes it cuts out, I reckon, because it's because some like loud sound. All right. Hey, thank you. It was my mic, you know, dying. You were absolutely right. Thank you for letting me know. But I was saying that I also have the setting of it to dampen. That way, it doesn't get like too loud. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me know. I'd have noticed it eventually. I had to do a quick swap. The GCS or CGC one. There it is. I haven't seen you around here. Hadn't seen you in here before. Oh yeah.
Looks nice. Looks nice.
Where? Nice. Whoops. Oh, shoot. I wonder why my other device didn't keep up. Sorry about that, Seymour. Let's see. First time, just had a few minutes between calls. Love the look of the blank. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Man, that was weird. I have my iPad pulled up over here, but it did not show that. So I apologize. I was not ignoring. Sorry about that. It's Cosmic Dreams. So you can kind of catch a shimmer of star in there. There we go. So there's like little stars in there. Okay. Let's see. Man, I don't know why that didn't show up there. No? Let's see. Hey. Okay. So that should pop up. I don't know why it didn't do that. Oh, shoot. There we go. Man, that was weird. But yeah, Seymour, are you a turner as well, friend? All right. I think I'm going to change gears here. Yeah, we're going to change gears. I got enough done for now. And I'll end up turning more later, but let's go ahead and turn that off. Morty. These put back. All right. I picked up a couple blanks that are here. We'll do some of this action here. So I picked up a couple blanks that are the blue stripe for the. Somebody wanted a police officer pen. Hey, where's the blue streak one? Perfect. There we go. So, got some blue lines. So, let's hop over here. All right. So we got some blue line, thin blue line. So we'll see if we can make sure these are centered when we drill them. But yeah, I got some blue line that we're gonna do right quick. So pop the tag off. Maybe. Which shape? Huh? What shape? 20? Might be dangerous. Okay. 19, huh? Okay, Jijing. We're working on a gift pin then. So this is going to be a gift pin. It's going to be made into a diamond painting pin. $5.50. So what we're going to do is I need to convert this over so I can drill it. think I can just use the chuck this way. I don't think I need to do, we'll see. See if I can tighten it up enough. If it's pretty square, that would be great. Yeah, it looks pretty square. I think it'll fit in there. Yeah, that should work. So I've got 2 of these blanks. Anytime I do something that's like new, or I'm using a different type of blank that I haven't used before, I like to get 2 of them, because in my mind 2 is 1 and 1 is none, potentially. Because if I mess it up, I want to be able to quickly just get back to it and immediately address where I messed up and then move forward from there. But yeah. Let's see. Okay. Then we get there. Boom. So looks like it's going to be a little bit offset here. I think what I should do, center mark it, turn it around. Yeah. Center mark it, turn it around, then drill it. This also makes sure I get it in the center of that line best as possible, the blue line. Hopefully it'll be good. Also, if you have a 3D printer, this is a pretty good little print file to do. They have one that's also for bowls or larger blanks in general, but yeah, definitely recommend printing if you've got one. Where did the cap go? Oh, there it is. Alright, so for this, what I do is I just use a little hand rule in here. For me to turn it around, I usually just, I do the center mark. You can see that it's pretty well marked there. And then do a little center start. Here we go. So center start, and this is just going to be to hold. It's a little offset, but it'll still serve its purpose. All right, so we'll come back to the chuck here in a moment. I'm going to put our centers, dead center, live center back in, knock the corners off, and then do what we were about to do. We're going to take this Nice and slow. Now I could potentially just do it start to finish right here and then drill it afterwards. But those are just little shortcuts, I suppose, that you learn along the way. But we're just going to do it standard so I can go over to my metal lathe and make sure that I get it just right. All right, so this is acrylic, and the behavior of this blank is going to be a little different. So it'll be quite chippy in the beginning, but then it'll start to get some ribbons, especially because we're starting at a square. So we're going to take it relatively light because I don't have the holes drilled too far. But yeah, we're just going to get across and then knocking the corners off and everything. Taking it pretty slow as far as knocking the corners off. I gotta get the feel of the material again. And then if you go too hard, it'll also cause it to like stop between centers because you can't push too hard. Okay. Ugh. That is very stinky. We're going to go ahead and throw our respirator on, actually. So I'll be muffled for a while. There we go. Now we can breathe a little fresher. At least not as painted. Sorry about that. We're back at it. All right, let's see where we are. All right, looking good. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna hop over here on my metal lathe right quick, and then I'm gonna drill both sides. This flat side. This flat side here, I just need to make sure that I don't grab that. I don't want the jaws to clamp onto the flat spot here. But I have enough room, so it's not a problem. Alrighty. Let's see, I wonder, kind of wish I had a 5.5 mil drill bit. Let me see if I have something close. 5.5, and number 3. Number 3 bit. Boom. All right, so I got my number 3 bit. And that's just shy of a 7/32. And the reason being is because it's acrylic, and oftentimes when you turn acrylic, it expands, and we don't want it expanding too much because we want it to stay relatively snug. But I'm not going to reposition this cam, but I'm facing it and I'm going to drill enough to be able to turn it. We want to face it and make sure that it's flat and flush. And then a quick little measurement of the bushings here. Here we go. I spent like an hour last night trying to get my lathe dial back in. The centers were just a tiny bit off, but we got it back. We got it set back up. And then the other side here. Same thing, make sure you don't put it on the flats. You don't want the jaws in contact with the flat, the way it's turning true. And then face it. And if you didn't do quite the center start that you wanted, it would be too late at this point. But yeah, I'm almost done over here, then we'll be back over there. But yeah, most people will just use the 7/32, and you know that'll work, but it won't keep the holes quite as snug. So these are the bushings I use. They're 7/32, and it makes it so it's a little bit. It's not quite right yet, but it's easier to open it up a little bit more than it is to close it. So that is why I have this. So this is a 7/32 drill bit, I'm just going to open it the rest of the way. Without having it drilling too fast. There we go. Now let's see what we're feeling like. Nice. So we're snug. That's what we wanted. We wanted to be snug. And if you do turn square blanks and you're drilling on both sides, you don't have to round it. It's just you're going to get a more accurate, you're going to be more accurate if you do turn it round first, because it's going to be basically setting the blank up to be turned, you know, just in the middle, quite centered how it's supposed to be, you know. So this one's a little offset to the left, but we're not going to worry too much about that. We got pretty dang close. Hey, what's up, Crafteritas? How you doing? Oh no! Is it for a routine checkup, Crafterita? Man. But it's good to see you. It feels like it's been a little while since I was last streaming. All right, so we're going back to basically turning how we have turned all the other ones. I'm going to do a slight variation of the shape, but it'll be pretty good. Oh no, I hate to hear that. It's always sad when a dog isn't feeling well. I don't know, somehow it hits different, you know? But sorry to hear that. Hope she is not in bad shape and recovers swiftly. It's been a long time since I streamed. Yeah, it felt like it too. It felt like it. It was like before Valentine's Day, so I guess almost 2 weeks. Yeah. We were, sorry if I'm yelling. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, Valentine's Day, or not Valentine's Day, but before Valentine's Day, it's been real busy. February is a very busy month. My daughter's birthday, my birthday, the California Pin Show, and it's a short month. And yeah, getting as much stuff prepped for the yeah, it's kind of crazy. Oh man. Lockout. Where can you find a lathe that doesn't look cheap? Well, what's your budget, man? Woman? Friend? Sorry, I don't know. Yeah, what's your budget? So I think this is a jet, and I want to say now it's like $750 to $850. But when I bought it, it was $600 or so, which was about 6 years ago. But I would say that you'll have great success too is, or a place you can have great success is by keeping an eye out on Facebook. I was able to pick up, I want to say it was probably close to $1,200 to $1,500 worth, including a lathe, with a lot of pen kits and blanks and stuff. And I paid, it was $500, I think. You could do about 500-600. That's still a good range. That's a great range to still be able to do stuff with. Let's see. If you're not opposed to secondhand, then I would recommend that. If you're not sure if you want to turn a lot, I'd have to learn a little bit more about you to make the best recommendation. But there's a couple features I would specifically look at. Variable speed. I don't care about forward and reverse for the most part, because if you're turning between centers like this, you can just take this blank, flip it over, and then it'll be essentially like turning in reverse. But Rikon is a pretty reputable brand. Jet's a reputable brand. And a lot of people, like I recommended Facebook because there are a lot of people that kind of got into it during the whole lockdown aspect, and now they're just trying to get back into the groove of their normal everyday kind of life, and they're trying to offload that. So it's a pretty good time actually. But yeah, I'd recommend. Amazon's got a lot of pretty good stuff actually. Let's see. But yeah, I'm not like affiliated or anything with anybody or sponsored or anything like that. So, but I would say it'd be valuable to consider, if that is your budget, you know, leaving a couple hundred for tools. Yeah. So there's one, right, like I just typed in lathe into the Amazon, or not the Amazon, but Amazon. You can get a Win for, you know, $225 or so. There's I don't know if I'd go with that one. The CXRCY, it's a 1218. But a lathe that doesn't look cheap, you're gonna, yeah, you'll end up needing to getting one secondhand, which we got two Turncrafter Commanders actually, and those are pretty good deals. So if you haven't looked at Penn State Industries, they have a great deal of resources as well as lathes, and you can actually buy a bundle deal for what sounds like your budget. Let me see what it actually is right now. But yeah, Penn State, you can get a pretty decent starter setup. But you know, there's a few things that I always want to know before recommending something specific. And a couple things are, what are you looking to turn specifically? And yeah, let's see. There's a $6.99 one that's got a basic starter set, and that's brand new. What else we got? That's 1100, 800, 850. Ooh, you can get 15% off. You put in your email and stuff. So it looks like the best bang for the buck would be, if you're just making pens, you can get a Turncraft Commander 12-inch. It's a MIDI, and it's got basic pen starting set. If you didn't need those other things, then I'd say that you're in a pretty good position to stay inside your budget for buying something brand new, at least. But yeah, I don't know if I can link in my own stuff, but take a look at Penn State Industries and then look at the mini lathes that they've got, because that looks like a pretty good deal. But yeah, it's a pretty good deal. I think a lot of times, I know for me personally, when I was shopping for a lathe, I was looking best lathe, this and that, and it's like, man, here's what I learned when I wasted a lot of time doing that, is that there's so many lathes on the market that there's like categories, there's tiers. Like Harbor Freight used to have the central machinery. They might still, but they upgraded to Bauer. So the Bauer lathe is pretty good relative to the central machinery that they used to have. And then I kind of put this jet in the same ballpark as the Rikon or the Grizzly, or I don't know if I put it in the same category as Shopfox. I think Shopfox will be on the lower end of this particular category. But if you're just looking to make EDC beads, that's going to be pretty simple. And you don't need a lot of length. So lathes also come in this one is a 1221. So what that means is that it's 6 inches from the ways to the center right here. Means I can turn something that's 12 inches. I can turn something that's 12 inches by 21 inches long, but then you have to factor in the other things like your drill bits and your Jacob's chuck and your chuck jaws. And it really just kind of eats away at the size. So I'd buy the biggest lathe that you could, that your budget would allow. And yeah. Let's see. Not gonna want to start crafting. Get my yeah. Rikon's pretty good. You just want to start crafting, get your skills going. I hear you. That's awesome. Welcome to the craft. Let you start making your own EDC beads. You're a knife collector. Cool. I like knives as well, but not more than pens. I make a lot of fountain pens. Yeah. But yeah, good luck on it, and I'd be interested to know what you ended up choosing. But you'll definitely have to consider like the add-ons. If it doesn't come with it, you'll need a carbide or high-speed steel set of turning tools. If you do get the high-speed steel, you'll want a way to sharpen it. And then, yeah, like, I guess to put into perspective, this Easy Wood Tools carbide was like $100 on its own. But, you know, I've definitely got $100 worth out of it. But I can't say the same for other people necessarily, because I think a lot of people I don't think very many people turn as much. But I will say too, if you have a wood store, like a turning store that's near you, sometimes people will return lathes as well. I saw a pretty good deal on a Powermatic. Now, Powermatic is probably a tier above this particular jet too. I'd put it more on par with like the Harvey or the Laguna maybe. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot. So it's pretty steep, but like, yeah, I've definitely got a good return on my purchase with this one. But anyway, you can possibly get returns. You can periodically check into there, because that'll also depend on your time frame too. And if you're trying to advance your skills like now, then best thing would probably be to find a local turning group. That way you can jump on board with them. I'm sorry, Rita. I'm sorry. I am working on it. I am working on it. It's just been busy times. But yes, it is still in the works. So fear not. It'll be from the very beginning. Yeah. All right, we're going to turn a pretty basic shape with this one here. We're going to go with a center mark, and this would be there. Oh, yeah. Rita, the price point I'm thinking for the for that is $5 a month, and the start for the whole thing will be like a 30-day kind of a Kickstarter kind of thing, where you learn the leveling of the lathe, you learn the positions, the different tools that are out there, and I'm trying to make it to where it's like, on one hand it would be information overload, but on the other hand it'll be delivered in a much faster way. So watching it multiple times won't take you forever to do. Just like some of my other videos are not quite that. So, yeah. But I mean, you could, I guess it is kind of strange because we don't know exactly the one-on-one, because turning something is a little different than getting set up turning something. But, you know, if you wanted, we could definitely work on that, and I would happily jump on a call with you, and we can work on it like that. But it would have to be like a video type of thing, with like me being able to watch you, or, well, I know you're, well, I know about where you live, I reckon, but oh man, I didn't think you were upset with me, but I've talked about it, and so, you know, I need to be a little bit more communicative. I need to communicate a little better.
This is also acrylic, so it's going to turn a little differently than the other resin that you see me turn. It can be a little chippy sometimes, so we're just going to get a feel of it and ease into it. With this material too, you don't necessarily want to dig too deep. Because it can chip. I don't want that. So you got to be a little more patient with it. It's a much harder material, and that's both a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. So this is just acrylic, which is a pretty common thing that people like to turn. And one of the awesome things about acrylic is that because of how hard it is, it takes a really good shine. And then you might ask yourself, well, why don't you make your pens out of that, or your fountain pens out of that? And that's because it doesn't thread as well. It's not as forgiving. So people that use acrylic, your approach has to be a little bit different than what mine is. Because if it heats up too much, then it won't maintain its structural integrity. It heats up and then it expands. Because heat causes causes the material to kind of relax, which is not really what you want. And you're trying to maintain a tight tolerance for drilling and threading. So right now I'm just kind of feeling out the material. Taking my time. Nice. Start working on the outsides here. Okay, still have that flat spot there. We need to get that out. Okay. I'm going to reduce the size of the F over here a little bit more. Alright, there we go.
All right. So with acrylic, micro mesh does work pretty well. But if you already have your sanding setup configured for just for wet sanding in general, you'll only want to wet sand acrylic, by the way. Pretty much any plastic, you're always going to want to wet sand. You don't really want to wet sand wood. The only exception to that would be like stabilized wood. So, yeah. I say we did pretty good. We can take that side down to a little bit more, actually. Just a tiny bit. On the front end. There we go. Now we're more symmetrical. But yeah, you can, let me bring it a little closer to the camera so you can see. So the surface looks pretty good. In these channels, there's a little bit of what I call a little bit of chatter, and it won't be that hard to remedy with a little bit of the coarse sandpaper, and then it'll fix itself. But yeah, the ergonomics of this one is like so simple, and I like it. It kind of breaks it up a little bit by just having these two little cutouts, so kind of cool. It is a blue line. This is actually going to a well, it's going to somebody. But yeah. There we go. When you are taking the bushings out, you want to make sure that you're bringing them out straight. You don't want to try and break them back. You don't want to try and twist it back and forth like that. If you do, twist it in a straight line, or in line with the pin that you just turned. Let's see, Crafterita. Let me show you something right quick that we made some good progress on. All right. So these are actually sanded and polished now. And this is one I was just working on yesterday that I decided I hate aluminum. It's got so much chatter in it. And I cannot, for the life of me, get it to turn smooth. But it's going all right. But these are all sanded and polished, and all of these on the right are sanded and polished. And if you've gotten any of our diamond painting pens before, they are on par with our minis. They're about 4 inches. So this is our mini, the mini size that we have, or we make. So it's right about there. But yeah. But yeah, made good progress on those. Got a couple different shapes, stuff like that. But yeah, this one, I still think I need to change the profile. I don't know if I like it quite yet. I think I need to bring this dip down lower. But this end comes off, and that's actually how we're going to finish it. Because this will get finished on its own, and then the other side will get finished, and then they'll just come together. But yeah, when you're writing or when you're diamond painting with it, it's kind of like you got to be down here or you're right on the bump, and I don't know if I like that. It might be good for an angled placer. I haven't, like I said, I haven't quite figured out how I want to finish this one. But yeah. But I'll go ahead and say that next week will be our release of the e-painters. So I think. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure that it'll be our release of the e-painters. Not this weekend, but next weekend. So, are you in our Facebook, on our Butterfly Effect Wears Facebook group? I don't do that area of of what we work on. I don't do much there. Yeah. I think I'll probably make a pin out of this. A pin out of the pin blank. Weird. But I'll probably end up making a pin for the kids, my kids, to give to the police officer at their school. So I'll probably throw it on a Duraclick EDC. Yeah. There we go. But yeah, I think that's a good one to kind of wrap it up. I gotta go get the kiddo here in a little bit. But yeah, I reckon, you know what, I'll go ahead and finish that one. Yeah, let's do that. See if I can get it, reattack that aluminum and see how that goes. Oh, not do this yet. But yeah, I think I want to bring this dip further down. Okay, how we looking? Turning all right. We are turning true. So I don't need to mess with anything up here really. Like I said, I just kind of want to bring this part down a little bit more. And then maybe let's see how the aluminum wants to be today. Nope, we're still gonna need to be sanded. That's a better position. Let's make that a little bit nicer of a defined area. Okay, that's there we go. That's nice. This is just going to have to get sanded. Some of these little chatters, because we're putting a whole bunch of. We've got a lot of different materials on this one here, so fine tuning is going to be a little more challenging than what most of our other stuff is. So this is fine. That's good. All right, now I'm gonna put this to the side. Need to pop this out. So what I'm doing is I need to finish this part, and what I mean by that is I've got it relatively shaped how I want it to be, but I need to cut it off. So I need to basically finish the taper all the way to the end and part it. And then the way that it's going to get the rest of the way finished is by doing it in two separate pieces. Oop. I'm just going to need two separate ways of finishing, because I don't want to have to use the support of the live center to do that. And this will also get glued in place. The only reason I threaded it is so I can do this. I needed it to be two different pieces. All right, perfect. All right, going to turn the dust collector back on, but we're not doing a whole lot of work with this. Just need to get it finalized. And if there is a little bit of run out, which there probably will be, there are other ways to remedy little things like that. But when it comes to like a big shebang, it's really complicated. So the best thing to do is do it right the first time. But I will say there's some pretty cool stuff that if it doesn't go right the first time, there's a lot to learn when you just kind of working your way through different problems that you encounter. So it's also an interesting thing about that stuff. And then whatever you learn from it can be applied in other areas too. Other areas of like turning in general. So this is kind of a risky way to turn if you haven't turned like this before, because when you have the round carbide, what I'm doing is I'm trying to go this way, right? So I'm trying to make it rounded. So I'll introduce it and then just kind of tilt it and then just kind of roll it all the way off. So nice light cuts here. So we'll just go ahead and continue this until it comes off. And there we go. So from here, I'm just going to let Abby finish the shaping part of it. And this will be done. So this blank is pretty cool. You can tell that it's really neat. What did it come off of? Do I have another piece of it? No, I might have used the last little bit of it. So this will be something that we have to make sure that it's perfectly lined up and flat and everything. So when this part is happening, we don't want a step there. So what I'll end up doing is using a washer that has like a little cloth, like a furniture sticker, like this. So basically a washer, and then it'll be pressed into that, and it'll center, and then you'll have the, not this live center, because you'll push into it and it can still touch the other side, but we'll use a different live center that will support this and hold it enough to sand. Because yeah, the only thing holding this while it's spinning is well, the dead center live center, and then this only goes about to here, and then this you kind of saw the threads, but it goes to about right here as far as that. So in the middle, what you do is you end up getting a lot of chatter potentially, because you have to hold it tight enough, but not so much that it causes it to bow. Because if it does bow, then the whole thing will be a little bit off, and you'll have to basically trim the surface again. And if it's really tight, when you trim that surface, it's going to basically bow again by the time you get to the other side, unfortunately. So you don't want too much pressure in between centers, because that's what will end up happening. But yeah, I think this one looks pretty cool. This is Ambonia burl, this is aluminum, and this is actually one of our shattered blanks, which basically I chop blanks into little biscuits, like tiny little circles, and then I hammered them. I had to hammer them like forever, it seemed. But yeah, it's kind of neat. This will get finished off to where it's right. Anyway, that is that. So now it's out of my hands. And I will say that moving forward in like the class stuff that I'm setting up, there will be finishing included. So don't worry about me never finishing stuff. I'll be having my local expert be a part of that specific section. So fear not. But I don't usually finish things, which is weird by a lot of people's measure. But yeah, I don't finish them for the most part. Abby does that. And then that one is actually not going to be a diamond painting pin. That's going to be something different. So there is that as well. Oh, yesterday I made a handle for this tool here. I didn't like the one that it had, so I cut it apart. I don't know if I have the handle anymore, but it looked like this. So this is what the handle looked like. This rod only goes to about right here inside the handle. So basically I chucked it up. I held it like on this steel bar, and then I cut it. I could have just cut it on the bandsaw, but I didn't know how deep this rod went. So I was kind of being careful, just kind of working my way down until I found it. But yeah, made a handle, which is pretty neat. Even better because it has a nice crack. I guess it's not going to be easily seen on camera here, but you can see. Now, look this up. There it is. You see that crack? right here. So there's a crack, and it runs from all the way up here, all the way to the end, unfortunately. But you don't necessarily know that when you're starting a piece. But it made it to the finish line at least. But that is, shoot, maybe that's a wrap for today's stream. We've got things that I'm going to get back to, as well as other commissions that I'm going to be working on. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the stream. On the way out, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up, it gives me purpose. And then, if you're new here, I pretty much turn and answer questions that you might have about turning. I make pens, diamond painting pens, and fountain pens are my area that I primarily focus on. So I don't do big wood projects normally. That handle is a unusual thing for me, but it's still fun to do it. But my emphasis is on pens. Custom kit lists, combining different materials, things like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit the subscribe on your way out and the thumbs up. And I will see you next time. Have a good day.